All right, good morning, everyone. This is session one of our vendor pitch session. The way this is going to work, I'm going to introduce each of our presenters today, and we'll give them the opportunity to share for 10 minutes about their work. And then at the end, um, we'll have opportunities to ask questions, that sort of thing. And then because we have kind of a short lineup today, I'll open up the floor to any other vendors who've joined the call to share a little bit about their work as well. All right. So our first presenter today is Kelci Crawford.
Good morning, everybody. One second while I get my share screen working, because I brought forth, surprise, surprise, a slideshow. It's a short one. It's only 3 slides, but this is going to encompass pretty much everything that I do, and then the two big projects that I'm working on currently. So I'm Kelci D Crawford. I've been making queer webcomics since 2013, and some of that includes zines that explore some of the worlds that I build. So on this screen are the comics that I have made since 2013, which is a lot. This is a lot. If you wanted to check any of these works out individually, you can head to kelcydcrawford.com. If you want to check out my most active webcomic at the moment, that is The Legend of Jamie Roberts. And I also have a Ko-fi page. Um, what is The Legend of Jamie Roberts? Well, if you like genderqueer pirates and dragons and magic, this is the comic for you. It is about a genderqueer pirate and their two best friends treasure hunting in a land full of dragons and why that's a bad idea. Um, Pictured here are covers for Volume 1 and Volume 2. Volume 3 will be coming later in October on Kickstarter, so keep an eye out for that. In the middle is a page from Volume 2, featuring a climactic scene where a dragon appears to help the pirates in the gang fight off a whole bunch of evil spirits that are raiding the town. I also have Vanita and the Demon King, which takes place in the same universe as one of my other webcomic projects, but this is a standalone story. The premise of this is a demon gets punched into the future and he crashes on the couch of a trans woman. So if you like out of place, like a character out of time, romantic comedies, and slice of life shenanigans, this is the webcomic for you. I'll go ahead and stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to share a different set of screens. Here we go. Boop. So this is another webcomic that I'm working on right now called An Ignorance of Romance. The first chapter was written by my sibling Kai and drawn by me. All future chapters are going to be written by myself. But this is the story of this young lad, Leon, who is very much a femboy, not very masculine at all, and he is sent on a quest for true love, trademark. Along the journey, he finds a woman, a warrior woman, who is trying to find her long lost husband. Shenanigans ensue. So, if you would like to check out that webcomic, chapter 1 is up and free to read right now. The comic is on a brief hiatus while I tackle the rest of chapter 2. So, now's a good time to catch up on it. And here is the website for The Legend of Jamie Roberts. This is the most recent comic page that I have posted. We're creeping in towards Volume 3 getting launched, and this is going to be part of Volume 3. So, and there's also a very handy dandy archive. So if you're starting from the beginning, you can just go to the archive. Now, a note about The Legend of Jamie Roberts. This is intended for readers 16 plus because it has violence, non-sexual nudity, and adult language and some scenarios. So reader discretion is advised on this one. An Ignorance of Romance. I can recommend An Ignorance of Romance for readers 13 plus. If you skew younger, you should be able to read it just fine. But yeah, note about The Legend of Jamie Roberts. I really only recommend it for The Legend is for 16 plus. Most of my comics are intended for teenage readers. Um, I did have some comics off to the side, but I don't necessarily feel like ducking on and off camera just to grab those. So those are my pitches. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Let's see. Up next, we have Charlie T.
Hi, everyone. I see a couple of familiar names and a couple of people I don't think I saw yet. So, hello. My name is Charlie. I use they, them pronouns, and I've been really getting into zine making in a bigger way in the past couple of years. As far as my name goes online, Charlie TT, the first T refers to testosterone, which has been a part of my gender journey. And the second T is actually the drink because it reflects my passion for drinking tea. Um, so yeah, that's how I came up with my handle. I try to be on as many platforms as I can for reach, but lately I've been the most active on Instagram um, because that's where people have actually been seeing my work. Um, but I do have other platforms as well, but I am Charlie TT on all of those. So I have a lot of my zines here that I want to show off to you. Question is where to start. I think I'll start with what is probably my most exciting and one of my most recent projects. I have this zine titled What, Where, When Narcan, and it's all about what Narcan is, when to use it, and how to use it. And this one is free to download on my Ko-Fi, along with a few others. I have a free section on the shop. So if you're like looking in the shop at the top, you see the like tabs or categories, you can click on free to easily get there. And what's exciting about this one is I actually succeeded in getting a grant for it. So I've been able to start distributing it on a wider scale in my area, which has been really cool. And I think I first started thinking about grants because I believe I attended was it a grant writing session that Kelsey put on, maybe? Correct me if I'm
It
wrong.
was Evan Bobrow from Rat House Press last
Ah,
year.
okay. I'm forgetting. I watched something else that Kelsey did. Um, but thank you. I watched the grant writing thing from Evan. So that was really exciting for me. It's still ongoing because one of my goals is kind of distributing across a lot of different places around my area. But one thing I do want to point out about this one is if you read the listing for this on my Ko-Fi, it also has instructions on how to make one that the back page is for your city. So for example, the actual like inside of this, if you unfold it, is a list of places to get Narcan for free in Seattle. And so I'd like to invite anyone who wants to make a version of this where the inner page is for your area. And if you do that, to please email it to me. All of that info is on the Ko-Fi listing for this one. So yeah, if you feel like you want to make this for your city, I would love to see it when you're done. As far as other stuff goes, I'll talk about a couple other things that I have done and am excited about. One topic I'm really passionate about and made a few different zines about is disability and ableism. I have a trio of zines here, which are really about those topics. The first one I made is called Fuck Ableism, and it's kind of like an ableism 101 type of thing. Like it's a very like brief introduction to the topic. This one is called Rethinking Independence, and it's about the idea and the ideal of independence. And it kind of questions why we hold that in such a high regard. This last one is titled "What Else Do You Do?" And this was really a way to vent some of my frustrations at the questions I get when people find out I work a part-time job as my day job, as opposed to a full-time job, which is what everyone expects. So that was just some fun doodles and a lot of ranting that I did in this one. And I find that these zines really resonate a lot with people, which makes me really excited because I love it when somebody picks one up and reads it and like starts talking to me about how it makes them feel, what it makes them think of, stuff like that. I also want to mention a couple other of the zines that I have for free download. One of them, which a couple of you might already be familiar with, is a trans person blank here. And it's meant so that you can fill in the blank with a word that corresponds to wherever you might be. Sometimes I like to print these out and leave them around town. Like, for example, at the bus stop, I would say a trans person waited here. And this was just kind of one of my first explorations into collage, which I really have been enjoying. Yeah, I just find that collage to be really fun. And I love it when people tell me that they've downloaded this and they've like left it across their town as well. It makes me happy. And okay, another free zine that I have free to download is titled Misokinesia. A lot of you may have heard of misophonia, which has to do with sound. But misokinesia is like that, except for visual cues, mainly repetitive movements or motions that you see. And it can trigger those same awful feelings that misophonia would trigger. I find a lot of people don't know that there's a word for this. So I really wanted to make it like filled with as much information as I could, just so people can kind of understand their experiences more if they're dealing with this, or just to like learn about it if they've never encountered that before. And another important topic that inspires a lot of zines is my cat. Her name is Kira. And I have a few really fun zines about her. These two were actually a zine battle I did with my partner. I made this one that's titled Our Cat Doesn't Fart. And he made this one, which is titled My Cat Farts All the Time, but my partner doesn't believe me, and I need you to read this zine to prove it to them. I will say I'm not trying to be biased here, but I will point out that every time my partner farts, he blames it on the cat. So that doesn't help his case. Another zine featuring Kira is this one called We Call Her Dr. Worm. We call her lots of fun names like Worm or Slug, and it just makes me think of the song Dr. Worm. So I just kind of made this lyric zine about her being not a real doctor, but she is a real worm. Yeah, so those are several of my zines. I have a lot more as well. And I do want to mention that I like doing trades. So if anyone was interested in trading something with me, you are very welcome to DM me on Discord, because I really like doing trades with people. I think it's very fun. Let's see, I think I maybe just have like 1 minute left, so I'll just briefly mention another interesting zine that I did that is kind of one of a kind, is this one titled I Thought I Knew You. It was my first time experimenting with blackout poetry, and I also combined that with collage. And this one is a little bit more private in the sense that it's not listed on my shop, um, but I do sometimes sell it in person, and it's also available for trade. But yeah, it's just about some like really heavy feelings of kind of betrayal and um, like thinking I know my friend, but then they did something that like totally changes my mind. Um, so yeah, that's I think covers it pretty much for me. Um, yeah, feel free to follow me on Instagram, which is probably my most active, and then messaging me on Discord is fine as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Charlie. I've put links to Charlie's Instagram and Ko-fi in the chat. Um, let's see. Next up, we have Julie Setele. Julie, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Julie Setele. I use they, them pronouns, and I am a librarian and sociologist. I initially was a sociologist as a career, got my PhD, did all that, and realized I had no work-life balance whatsoever and wanted to actually enjoy my life a little bit. So I went back to school, got more loans, yay, debt, and now I'm a librarian and I'm very happy as a librarian. So I make zines. I've been making zines for about 2 years now. I put all of them out as free digital downloads. And I largely do that because I am terrible at mailing things to people. I just know that I am not reliable and that I would rather focus on making more zines than the nitty-gritty of the distribution through the mail service. So rather than try to promise things to people that I know I can't actually fulfill, I give them all away for free. But that's also the librarian and the socialist in me. Um, so I made a zine recently that's a little mini zine, Julie Setele Zines. You can find it on my website with all of my zines, juliesetele.com. And it basically has a little bit of description about who I am, and then I kind of categorize my zines. It's a catalog, basically, of my zines. And the categories, it was kind of fun to sort of think about how to categorize my zines. What I came up with was personal, political, and various obsessions. So in the political, I'm sorry, let's look the personal, as I do in the zine. With the personal, we've got Bearded Lady, which is with my original watercolor background. The paintings are original watercolors by me. This is about my journey growing out my facial hair. And there's some pictures. You got a picture of me, you can kind of see my goatee. I did start removing hair again when I went on the job market, but this was in 2020. It was sort of an opportunity that I had to experiment with my gender presentation, and I also started using they, them pronouns exclusively at that time. So I just write in here about, you know, how problematic it is that we're all made to pull the hair out of our faces and made to feel bad about hair growing out of our bodies, or not growing out of our bodies if that's the case, right? Um, and I also have Feline Family, which is a 32-page hefty baby. Not my original watercolors. I just did Canva backgrounds, so not making any claims here. This is a very sad zine. This is about the cats that I've loved and lost. It was very therapeutic for me to make it. I did cry a lot. I can't promise that you won't cry. Um, the short story is that I moved here to Buffalo in April of 2022 and with two cats. And by September they had both passed away over separate reasons. And so I talked about getting them in my life and how important they were to my life, and also then my getting new cats who are sleeping right now, so they are not going to disturb us for the moment. We also have my abortion journey mini zine. This is about my transformation from being raised pro-life or anti-abortion to being a staunch reproductive justice advocate who has had an abortion, has worked in abortion care, has done abortion care research. I recently re-released this as a sort of deluxe edition that has an extra set of content on the back page with information about the reproductive justice movement, why I made the zine, recommended reading, and some references. So again, that is available for free digital download, like everything else. Political wise, I've got uh, a lot, but what I have handy is a few mini zines. I made this after Trump was elected, so the world is fucked and don't want to be here anymore. This is basically my anti-suicide zine. I have struggled with mental health issues my whole life, depression, chronic major depression especially. And I have survived it thus far, so yay. And you know what I say at the very back here is, most importantly, my loves, please keep surviving. Um, on that same note, I made a Our Existence is Resistance zine this spring, talking about my experiences as a trans non-binary person in today's United States of America. And again, this was sort of my way of coping with the ongoing nonsense coming out of our government. I've also got Warning, This Is Not a Drill. This is just a black and white version, but this is about ICE abducting international students. So I made this March 27th. So this was just a couple days after Rumeysa Ozturk had been abducted. She was the one who we all kind of saw the video of her being abducted on the street by like masked men. So I made that just a couple days later because I felt a need to do something. I've also got this Fuck the Fourth zine, which is a collaborative anti-fascist zine. It's got tons and tons of art from, oh yay, you have that one. Tons and tons of art and stories and poems and such from people from all around the world, actually. So that was a really fun one. Again, with everything in this country, I wanted to do something. And leading up to the 4th of July this year, I was just feeling very much like I wanted to make a zine, and then it occurred to me to make it collaborative, which I hadn't, it just like, I didn't think of it. And then when I did, I just gave people a very short deadline so I could get it out like July 6th or something. In the various obsessions category, we have my most popular zine, the one that is most downloaded on my website, which is AI is Very Bad, Actually, a manifesto. I made this because I had been sitting through meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting at my work as a librarian about AI being integrated into everything. And of course, we're all seeing it integrated into everything in our daily lives, whether we want it to or not. And as I say in here, I want my media created by human beings. I want to be able to opt out of this nonsense. It destroys the planet, it destroys labor, it's theft of art. It also destroys your mind by using it. It weakens your ability to think critically. So for all of those reasons, and I have tons of resources, huge bibliography on my website as well, that goes with that. Let's see, a couple early zines that I made are about diverse historical romance. So that's my preferred genre to read. It's kind of my fantasy world. But I like to read diversely, not just the straight white authors that are getting pushed at us by mainstream publishing. So I've got one that's about queer main characters. And basically I just, on each page, I talk about a different author and a couple of their books. And then on the last page, I list a few more. And then I've also got BIPOC authors edition. So again, I try to read as much as I can authors of color. My fave, Courtney Milan, but of course Beverly Jenkins. If you're familiar with the historical romance genre, you know she's the biggie. I want to get to some of my other ones. Earthseed, The Books of the Living is the very first zine that I ever made. This is based on Octavia Butler's words. It's all Octavia Butler's words with my digital doodles inside from Canva, not my Procreate or anything, but I do what I can. Basically, I am obsessed with Octavia Butler. I wanted to have a copy of her parables from her books, and I wanted to have that for myself. And then finally, I'll show you this Representations of Medusa zine. I did a bunch of Argumania zines, which was a thing that I did with my friends where we would argue about things. And so this is basically just tons and tons of representations of a living, breathing Medusa. And because I'm obsessed with her. um, and yeah, again, that's available at my website. So yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Julie. Appreciate all the very important topics you cover in your zines. Last up for today, we have CK.
Hello everyone. I think I'm gonna do show and tell, and then I'll pull up my slide. I think that's what makes the most sense. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited about this. My zines are not easily categorized. It's kind of difficult to explain. It's like my entire personality put forth in zine form. If we were physically at an event, I would hand you this menu with the flow chart where you could choose where you might find the CK zine for you. So this is the best that I have, but I will do a rundown of the various things that I have zines about. And hopefully there's something that makes sense for you. By far my most popular zine is Hellraiser, in which I review every single entry into the Hellraiser franchise, including the novella it's based on. I give it a 1 to 5 puzzle box rating. I count the number of times that a character says the word hell. I meticulously count the pinhead minutes in every single film. Sometimes it's like 2 minutes. Shocking. I pick a Cenobite of the week. I have an ACAB rating that evaluates how friendly they are to cops or if cops are present. Bechtel Wallace score. The most painful part and the most pleasurable part of every movie. So there's a breakdown like that for every single entry. It's very fun. If you are familiar with Hellraiser, even if you haven't watched all of the things, I do recommend this. It's very fun. So this is my most popular zine, I would say. I would say my second most popular is probably my Kate Bush zine. It's called Pontificate. It's very much just like a story that involves Kate Bush. It's a lot about my experiences with comp het and the way that like having an intense obsession with a musical artist helped me sort of get through and understand my sexuality. This and all of my zines are very much word focused. I'm a writer first, and then the imagery comes second to accommodate. But all of my zines fold out into posters of some kind. This one is just hot pictures of Kate Bush, but they all fold out into something, some kind of poster. So those two are probably my most popular. And related to those, I also have stickers that are Kate Bush quotes misattributed to Pinhead, as well as Pinhead quotes misattributed to Kate Bush. So they're basically the same person. You would never think, but they are. So in addition to that, I also have this Dining with the Dead. This is a zine about you may have seen on Instagram or on TikTok, this woman who goes to grave sites that have recipes on the tombstones, and then she creates that dish and then brings it to the gravesite and eats it. I was obsessed with this for a moment, and so I've kind of explored that. This is like a poem essay on that topic. And then it unfolds to showcase 2 of my favorite graves. So Dining with the Dead. I have 2 new mini zines that I just came out with. Crush Zine for Self-Esteem and Common and Likely. These are both zines that came out of having like a crush, obviously. The Crush Zine for Self-Esteem is kind of set up like a workbook, and the idea behind it is that you can sort of mine that really lovely energy that you have when you have a crush on someone, and then direct that to yourself and take that excitement and think about the ways that other people have had crushes on you, how likable you are, how you bring light into other people's lives. So it's very sweet in that way. And throughout this, all of the imagery is like open source, old Valentines and depictions of hearts. I'm a, oops, here, this one is one of my very favorites. I think this is really a fun image that I found. And then both of these zines, also on the back, it says, please tell someone about your crush. You can DM me about your crush if you'd like. I'd love to know. But the inside of both of these new zines have these wonderful 18th century Christian tract depictions of sinners' hearts. There's a German version and a French version, and I love these because they look so fun. Like, how cool is that? It's really fun in there. So I wanted to share that, so I put those as the inner posters for both of those. I'll show you the other one as well. Right? Amazing. So yeah, and then Common and Likely is about it's like my personal story of my like very first crush, and the way that you feel like, oh my God, this will never happen again. This is so special. But it's not. You will keep getting to feel like that over and over again. I am 36 and I feel like that now. So it's really cool. You just get to keep feeling that way. So this zine is about that. I also have, this is a secret zine. This is what I call a CK secret menu. And you can ask for this directly because you're on this call, but this is not in my Ko-fi shop. It's called Why Are There So Many Queer Couples in This In and Out? A Capricorn's Cancer Season Reflections on a Complicated Relationship with Crying. So this one is just about my experience in relationship with crying, and it does fold out to be an in and out lap mat. So just, yeah. Couple more. This one is a recent one that I wrote. This one is I'm very proud of this. This is a collection of my family's source documents from long ago, many generations of letters and interviews from people in my family. I'm from the Ozarks, Missouri Ozarks, and so this goes through and depicts sort of the ways that we have communicated and the kind of especially the women in my family across the years. The cover has some photos of my grandma, me and my grandma, and my great grandma. It's called Notes from the Holler, Memories, Source Materials, Musings from My Ozark Origins. And I have a letter that my great grandma wrote to my mother, which is very fun. I have all of these images of my Aunt Pearl, who was a school teacher her entire life. And my grandma kept every single year's school photo of her. So she has, across the years, all of her school photos. The newspaper article about my great grandma. And then this is my favorite part. This is an interview from 1916 that one of my distant cousins did with his grandma. And it's amazing. It's very cool. She is so mean. She's really mean to him in the interview. And it's fascinating because he's trying to get this like very sweet interview with her, and she's just like, you know, the answers to these questions. Very funny. So this is a fun one. And yeah, it ends with a letter that my mom wrote me. And on the back, there's a text exchange between my parents and I. So this is a fun sort of dive into the place I'm from and the history there. And then I think the last one I will discuss perhaps is Dainty Gloves. And this is my grad school marginalia before I knew I was queer. And it is the gayest thing I've ever seen. It is absolutely absurd that I was writing these things in the margins of my textbooks and then going home to a man. So that's that's Dainty Gloves. Very fun. So I have scans and then commentary and scores for all of my marginalia throughout the years on a variety of texts. So yeah, those are a collection of my zines. I'll show you a few stickers. Do I have time to do stickers? How am I doing on time? Good? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, you have a couple minutes. Yep.
Okay, good. So in addition to the stickers I showed you, I also have this, this one. It says share anarchist zines on Microsoft Teams. This mask throws ass. And it's gender affirming how little I bring to the relationship. This is really funny to me, and I don't know if it's funny to anyone else, but I think it's really funny. And then lastly, this is a collaborative bumper sticker, honk if you're flirting. Made this with my friend Nicole. So lots and lots of options. You can access my shop. I think they put the link in the chat, so maybe you don't need my slide. But yeah, ask me if you have any questions and let me know if there's anything else you want to hear about. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm gonna open up the floor for questions for our tablers. CK, I do have one thing for you. I think you would love the song "Crying at the Wawa" again.
Okay.
Your In and Out zine just made me think of it. I think you would really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so too. Thank you.
But yeah, if anyone has any questions for any of our vendors, now's your chance.
I'll go first. Hi, this one is for Julie. I wanted to know how working in a library, and I don't know if you probably heard the term bibliodiversity. I don't know if you've probably heard the term bibliodiversity. I should move this way so you can see my lips. Bibliodiversity. It has a couple of meanings. But it's basically about just the diversity about the kind of media we consume, whether it be like diversity with regard to like the nature, whether it be language, whether it be the kind of authors that are writing work, or just the way the books look like whether they're books of poetry, whether they're audiobooks, whether they're oral histories, that kind of stuff. It has all kinds of meanings depending on what the context is. But yeah, I was wondering, how does that? How do you feel like your zines, like, do you feel as a librarian, your zines contribute to that? Do you feel like as a librarian, you are sort of challenging the way people see books in your workplace? I assume it's zines and your zines are something you talk about, and the importance of zines is something you talk about a lot with work, if not your personal life as well. But I wonder if you feel that zines are sort of challenging the way we see books and the way we see works that can be consumed, the way we see paper and paper crafts and all that kind of stuff, and if it's actually adding to the biodiversity of, I don't know, the world today.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. And I had not heard that term bibliodiversity, so I took a note of it. So I will definitely be doing some Googling and some other research. I think diversity of reading material is super important, and there are a few ways that plays out in my work. As a librarian, I do run a diversity audit at my university, so I'm an academic librarian at a college. And one program that I initiated when I started here was to go through our children's material, because we have a huge children's collection as a teacher's college. So I wanted to go through our children's books and see, first of all, I wanted to just get to know the collection just selfishly for myself as a new person working at this library. But I also wanted to see, how diverse is it? Our students are majority non-white. So I wanted to make sure that our books are are that people can find their mirrors in those books, to use the language of oh gosh, I'm blanking on the name. Mirrors, Windows, and Doors, the great librarian who wrote that. Anywho, um, I also run a social justice book club that we prioritize books by authors of color. And I've gotten good feedback from my participants about the importance of that, and it gives them something that they wouldn't necessarily have read before, um, or something that they wouldn't have necessarily picked up on their own. And so I think by me exposing them to those texts, they are going to be more likely to look for those kinds of books in the future too. I think zines in general, yes, they give voice to marginalized people because anybody can make a zine and it can be about anything or nothing. And I think it really breaks down that hierarchy in publishing that we have. And as you know, I'm speaking as someone who has a PhD, but like I felt so constrained in my writing by all of my years of graduate school. So I wasn't actually like producing anything until a couple years ago when I started making zines. Thank you for including that, Leaf. Um, so yes. To sum up, yes. Good question. I think zines are super powerful in giving voice to lots of folks who have lots of things to say but are being silenced or being deliberately unheard, to quote Aaron Dottie Roy. Yeah.
Thank you.
I do want to add, Julie, I think you're doing a librarian panel later this during the fest.
Yeah,
So
this
that's definitely something to check out if you're interested in the librarian side of zines.
yeah, that's the 21st, I think.
Mhm. All right. Do we have any more questions? Or I know that we have a couple vendors in here who maybe didn't sign up for the pitch sessions, who might want to share their work as well. Um, I can share some of my scenes while we're waiting to see if there's anything else. I I make comics and zines, but mostly comics. Well, I guess it's comic zines, I guess. Um, so I'll just share what I do. My big ongoing project that I do is I write a quarterly zine. This is the first 2 issues. I'm working on the 3rd issue now, about my experience making and selling comics. I write about recently released books that people in the community. I do some reviews, and I have some space for other cartoonists to share advertisements for their works as well. And then I always put a couple pages, like a 2 to 3 page comic in the back as well, because I'm a cartoonist, right? So this is part of the Orange Peel is part of a project that I'm doing with one of my friends, Abe, to try and create more resources for independent and emerging cartoonists to get their work out there, more resources to make comics and that sort of thing. So it's pretty early in the process, but that's something pretty exciting. This is one of my newest comics. It's called Blood Bowl. Uh, it looks scary. It's kind of a retelling of an urban legend from my town, from Columbus, Ohio. Uh, so there's this storm sewer that's got a bunch of really interesting graffiti on it, and there's a couple different urban legends about it, and I thought it would be fun to take that myth and retell it, reshape it into something a little bit more fantastical. And then in the back, I've got like the real facts about the location and the myths and what happened there. So that's that. And then I also have my comic Testosterone Tuesday, which is a memoir about my experience on HRT. I drew this comic on 24-hour comic day, which is an event where you draw a 24-page comic in 24 hours. And I didn't quite make that, but it was still a really interesting experience. And it's fun to see what you can do in a day. So yeah, I have some other comics and stuff. Everything's all up on my Ko-Fi, which I'll share the link in the chat. But yeah. All right. Well, does anyone have any questions for our other vendors or for me, or does anyone want to share any of their work?
Sorry, I had to
Awesome.
give a plug for my new zine that I like literally released like last
Yeah.
hour. The last hour. So
That's perfect. I love women's soccer. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and end the recording. Thank you all for being here, for sharing your work with us, for coming to engage with our vendors. I really appreciate you being here. Queers as Scene Fest would not be what it is without the vendors who share their work, without us, without the attendees, without all of you. So thank you so much. We have one more event tonight at 8 p.m. We have the Corners of Our Mouth Press will be doing their live tabling on Zoom. So if you've got a chance, be there and show some support, find out what they're doing. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, everyone.